A very good day to all of you from Amit Kumar Mehta. This is part 7 of the video series on Spoken English Fluency 2.0. This is a particular course in which we guarantee you that your English, your spoken English, your fluency will see a dramatic increase in just 21 days if you follow whatever advice we have been giving you through the series of videos. The series of videos is available in the playlist section of our channel, and if you have not watched that particular video series, please do watch it because it will help you understand this particular video in a better way. Today, in this particular video, we are trying to give you the secrets which have never been revealed before, the tips and tricks of the best learning experts on English language in the world. Yes, in the world. The expert comments on that. Now, we will also tell you in this particular video the lazy way of learning English. And I just know that you will love this particular method of learning English. Stay with me as I tell you this particular secret. But before that, let us go into finding out how and why we should be listening to experts. Now, from the dawn of civilization, you would have understood that everybody wants to chase growth. Individual wants to grow bigger in life. Companies want to grow bigger in life. So growth is something that everybody is chasing. Companies have been chasing growth since ages. But in the year 2010, the definition of growth totally changed. Sean Ellis introduced the world to the word growth hackers. Growth hackers were people which were bringing immense amount of growth through the companies. Andrew Chen made the term clearer by calling the growth hacker the VP of marketing. These were the new people who were the vice presidents of marketing. Engineers with great amount of data crunching abilities and great amount of cross-functional knowledge from different faculties. They were putting a lot of knowledge inside of the companies, and the companies were seeing unimaginable growths. While the old generation companies were growing in single digits, 8%, 5%, 3%, 10%, 11%, 12%, the new companies which had hired growth hackers were growing 100 to 200% in very short periods of time. Guess this is what happens when you put engineers to work. The engineers had done it, they had changed the entire paradigm, they had changed the entire landscape of growth the companies were experiencing. In this particular growth phase, we had WhatsApp and Facebook seeing growths of 800%, 700% on a yearly basis in terms of the number of people who were watching these particular social media platforms, entering into them, registering them. So these numbers were possible because of growth hackers. And this is what actually happens when you put engineers to work. To sum it up, Bill Gates has to say about the growth hackers. I choose a lazy person to do a hard job. Bill Gates says, I will choose a lazy person to do a hard job because the lazy person will find an easy way to do it. So that is what a growth hacker does. The growth hackers has enabled, these growth hackers have enabled many of the companies like WhatsApp, Facebook, Messenger, WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter. They have grown like crazy. They have grown like 400, 500% on a yearly basis, while the normal traditional companies, steel making companies, automobile companies were growing in 10%, 20%. These companies have grown by 700%, 800% because of growth hackers. So my question to you is, what would happen? What would you do? Would you prefer when you are ill? Would you go to a doctor or would you go to a quack? A quack is a jhola chap, a quack is a fuzzy person with fake degree, is a person who is a quack. So whom will you go if you fall ill? Will you go to a doctor or will you go to a quack? I know the choice is simple. You will go to a doctor. Why? Because you know the doctor has gone through rigorous hours of training. He has educated himself. He has gone through a lot of practice. He has got a lot of practice in his hand. And it is because of the long years of learning, they have become experts in their field. So, in a similar way, these polyglots, actually, whom we call them, these are the language learning experts. They have mastered 20 languages, 30 languages. Look at Tim Donner. He can speak 20 languages across the world. And because of this particular language learning skill that he can offer some great tips. He's like the doctor who has spent years and years practicing his craft. So when Tim Donner gives you an advice, or people like Tim Donner gives you an advice, you have to understand that they have done their research. These are polyglots. These are polyglots. These are like growth hackers who can give you immense amount of growth in your English language fluency and your English spoken skills. Like growth hackers, polyglots have dissected the entire process of what it takes for you to acquire the language fast. They have dived the deep seas. They have actually dived into the deep sea to ensure that you get the pearls of wisdom which lies buried in the deep recesses of the sea. So they have done the hard work for you. You just need to follow their advice. They can give you the shortest path to success. Now, idea behind polyglots is that they can give you the cheat codes, they can give you the tips, they can give you the tricks and hacks around the learning processes. What these tips and tricks will do is they will decrease the amount of learning that you need to do, the amount of extra wasteful learning that you have to do. These growth hackers, these polyglots will actually be able to save you all those extra learning hours. And that is why I say it will not take you decades, it will not take you years, it will not take you months, it will just take 21 days for you to master the language English if you are just following this advice they are giving you. Now we'll be discussing 5 to 6 of these particular polyglots knowledge that they are sharing across the platform on online and otherwise, and we'll be finding out what is the best among them. I'll be giving you the shortest way in a short while. Stay with me. Luca Lamperio is one of the polyglots. He says that languages cannot be taught. Most of the time, people enroll into a coaching class, they go to the particular coaching class and they think that the master will do something. The master will wave a magic band and I will be learning the English. The master will be doing the entire work for me. But according to Luca, that is not right. He says that languages cannot be taught. They can only be learned. You have to learn, you have to take some efforts, you have to make some efforts, only then you will be able to learn the language according to Luca. He says that there are no magic pills around there. There's no magic pill, you have to do the effort, you have to take the efforts. Teachers can only be guides. They can tell you the shortcuts and inform you which are the pitfalls to avoid, is what Luca says. So he says that you go find a guide, do not find an instructor. Do not find somebody who will spoon feed you. What students in today's date do, they go to a coaching center expecting that the teacher will spoon feed the entire English into them. They feel that there will be a magic pill which I'll take with a small amount of warm water and I'll be able to learn English. So that is not possible. You have to know the tips, tricks, and you have to take some efforts. You have to make some genuine efforts so you can learn English faster. That is what Luca has to say. He talks about the immersion technique. Luca reads a lot of books, watches movies, learns about the history and tradition of the target language. He makes friends in that particular target language. He keeps on traveling, whichever language he wants to learn. If he wants to learn Spanish, he goes to Spain. He keeps on traveling and keeps experimenting with the various methods that we have discussed, like reading books, like watching movies, learning about the history, and making friends. So all these techniques he uses and totally immerses himself in the particular language, and that is his idea of learning a language faster. Steve Kaufman, on the other hand, Steve Kaufman is also a polyglot. He says that if the process is not enjoyable, people are bound to quit the process. So if you have to ensure that your language learning should not be boring. It should not be consisting of boring textbook reading, boring grammar exercises, boring vocabulary memorizing. All these things if you are doing, if it is a boring process, if it is not an enjoyable process, you will quit the language learning process. So do not do something that is boring. He asks people to listen and read as much as possible. Intensive reading is what he asks people to do. He says that if you keep on reading good stories, enjoyable stories, probably your ability to learn the language will be faster. He also goes on to say that talent is not required for learning languages. Talent for learning languages is just a myth. He says that anybody who has an average IQ can master the languages at will. He can master the languages. There is no requirement of any specific talent, extra talent. Most of the people have the belief that I cannot be learning language because I do not have the talent. Gabriel Winker, on the other hand, is another polyglot. He says that adults can learn languages better than kids. He says that because the adults have learned through a various long number of years, they know how to learn. They know learning how to learn is the great advantage with the adults. They have learned the process. So because of this particular thing, he says that he suggests learning grammar through immersive stories rather than fat and boring grammar books. Now, two of the polyglots have said that you do not need to go through the fat, boring grammar books because these will actually demotivate the learner. On the other hand, you should be learning through immersive stories, stories that engage you, stories that tell you the entire grammar and vocabulary. They keep on building you while they keep on engaging you also. They keep you entertained, is how you can learn languages fast. That is Gabriel Winker for you. Idosha Ness says that we learn from our ears rather than eyes. Most of the people believe that we learn from our eyes, and that is not true. He says that we learn from our ears. So listening is what Idosha says is very, very important when you are learning a language, learning English. He argues learning through the eyes, that is reading and writing, is a traditional mechanism. Reading and writing is a traditional mechanism of learning. What should actually we be doing is listening and speaking. He says that if we listen and if we speak, we learn from our ears, and that is a better mechanism of learning the language. He says that traditional mechanism, if you're learning through reading and writing method, will give you slower results over the learning from ears, he maintains. That is what Idosha has to say. Now we'll be coming to the most interesting part. This is what you have been waiting for. Learn English the lazy way. Alexandra Stepian's secrets. She reveals she's a big fan of Netflix and specifically the web series Desperate Housewives. And she learns languages by watching Desperate Housewives in the target language. If she has to learn French, she will watch Desperate Housewives on Netflix in French, and within a month, within 2 months, she will be able to learn French in a term that she can speak with the native people out there. So that is her idea, and that is, I guess, the laziest way, the students friendly way of learning the language faster. So how does she do it? Alexandra Stephens says that when you watch a web series, it keeps you engaged. Whenever you watch a web series, it will keep you engaged. You will be entertained. You will be motivated to watch it again and again. She says that you have to have fun all along the way and keep your motivation levels high when you're learning a language. And the fact with web series is that it keeps you hooked, engaged, and committed towards the entire series. Each episode of a web series will leave you in a doubt, will leave you in a cliffhanger of what is going to happen in the next episode. And that keeps you begging for more. That keeps on, ensuring that you go and watch the other series also, the other episode of that series also. And for all those of you who are thinking that web series in English is a difficult thing, let me give you some perspectives. Let me tell you, if you think that you watch the web series in English, it will be difficult for you to understand what is being said, what is not being said, what is actually happening inside the particular video. Let me put some questions to you. What would you say to a person you meet for the first time? You're meeting the person for the first time, you say nice to meet you. If somebody helps you, what you will say? You will say thank you. If somebody has committed a mistake, he will say sorry. So these are some of the expressions: nice to meet you, thank you, sorry. These expressions remain constant across the cultures. In any particular culture, these expressions will remain the same. If you are happy, there is an expression for that. If you are sad, there is an expression for that. There is an emotion for that. If you are crying, if you are laughing, there is an emotion for that. Emotions do not require words. Imagine if you're watching a series and if somebody is happy, will you require language to actually understand that he's happy? You can see it from his face. Similarly, if he's sad, if he's crying, if he's laughing, you can make it out from the expression on the particular person's face that particular person is happy, angry, laughing, sad. So these expressions on the face, imagine the expression on the face of a husband when he becomes a father. Now, irrespective of the culture to which this particular husband belongs to, the happiness on the face of the father will always be constant in all cultures. So most of the times it is just a fear that you will not be able to understand the English web series if you are watching it. Go find good web series on Netflix, on Amazon Prime and other various platforms. You have thousands of platforms in today's date. Go watch good quality series, somebody with a good rating, good IMDb rating, good critical review. Watch those particular web series and these will actually help you master languages very, very fast. Now, Why does Stephen's Alexandra's method work? Number one, you have to understand, as I told you some time back, that most of the time we are communicating not through words. According to Dr. Albert Mehrabian's formula, this is a formula which is applied across communication skill classes. If you have ever attended a communication skill class, you will understand that spoken words just take 7% of your entire communication. The other 93% is by your body language, how your body speaks, how your face speaks, how your expressions are. So in any language communication that happens, it is only 7% that the words are important. Otherwise, you can understand the entire story of that particular web series through the body language of the particular individual, through the facial expressions that they are communicating through. So 7% words is very, very important. And that is what helps in Alexandra case, the lazy way of learning English. Second, I have told you in an earlier video, if you have not watched that particular video, please go and visit the YouTube video on vocabulary that is there in the playlist section. In that particular series, in the particular video, we have told you that vocabulary words, if they are important, they will keep on repeating again and again. According to BBC, only 500 to 800 words are important so that you can understand 80% of the conversations. So that happens across languages, that some words keep on repeating again and again. So if you are going and watching a web series in English, some of the words will keep on repeating again and again. And these words are very, very important. You can jot it down, you can point it down, you can take a note of all these words, and these words will actually help you. Any web series will contain approximately 8 to 9 hours to 10 hours, and depending if it is in season wise, it will contain around 30-40 hours of viewing. 30-40 hours of viewing that particular video series, web series, will help you master enough words which is important for your normal day-to-day conversations. Just watch those series and the words will come automatically to you. No need to buy a dictionary, no need to go and mug up words which are not important for you. The last but not the least is, in the video on natural way of learning, we had talked about how kids learn the language. I had shown you that grammar is nothing but the way you arrange words and phrases together. In this particular video, if you have not watched this video is available in the playlist sections once again on natural way of learning, how kids learn. So the kids, with repeated exposure to the dialogues and the way they are delivered, they tend to pick up the pattern. You will be able to understand grammar properly. You will be able to understand grammar properly through the phrases that is being said, through the way the sentences keep on repeating again and again. Some words, some sentences will keep on repeating again and again, and those sentences are important for you so that you will be able to understand grammar. I told you, average 10 hours to 30 hours is how long a web series will last, an English web series will last. And once you are watching for 30 hours, for 10 hours, you will be repeatedly exposed to some of the patterns, some of the word series, some of the sentences which you need to master. This will automatically go into your subconscious mind, and if you have purposefully been noting all those words, it will definitely give you a greater advantage. So with all these particular concepts, I think Alexandra's method is the best way, the lazy way of learning languages. And if she can do it by watching Netflix, by watching web series on Netflix and those kind of platforms, even you can do it. What my basic point is that English is very easy provided you don't complicate things. Basically, in today's date, we have complicated the entire learning process by including grammar, by including vocabulary, by including boring texts and books. Alexandra does it in a smart way, in the best possible way. I hope you have liked this particular video. All these concepts that I'm talking about are coming from this particular book that I had compiled on simple, effective and practical secrets of language learning ninjas. This book I have researched over 5 years. All the concepts that we have been discussing in all the playlist videos and all the language learning lessons have been borrowed from this particular book. If you are interested, you can look at this book on Amazon Prime. You can read that book over there for free through Amazon Prime subscription. And if you have not liked this particular video series and not subscribed it, please do like it. Give your comments, give your suggestions, give your feedback. We have been working very hard to provide you all these secrets. And if you have not shared this particular video, do share it. Please go to the playlist section and watch all the video series, the 7 to 8, and I guarantee you will be able to see a dramatic increase in your spoken English and English fluency skills over a very short period of time. You will be able to master English in just 21 days. Is that we claim, and we guarantee you that. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure interacting with you.